Hey guys, here's your class 2 recap on fishtails. I'm going to briefly go over the warm-up that we did yesterday because a couple of you asked. First thing we did is we had our arms out right at these 90-degree angles right here. And what we're doing, we're rolling back 5 times and rolling forward. Right? Then we came here with our hands, fingers on our hips, pulling our elbows back, really trying to pull our elbows together. And we held this with our shoulders down for 10 seconds. And then we went ahead and extended our arms 5 times, keeping our elbows moving toward each other instead of trying to keep them wide, right? 5 times. With the staff, we held the staff in the center, windmilled over our head until our elbow was pointing up to the sky with our staff, and pulled down on the staff for a stretch. And then we just switch hands, pulling down. And then, of course, we stretch our arms out, keeping our shoulder away from the ear, both sides. And then on the ground, we have our fingers spread apart, arms are parallel. They're not like this, they're not like this. Trying to get them as parallel as possible. And we roll down on the tops of our hands, so the tops of our hands are flat on the ground, all the fingers touching the ground. And we go back on our heels, and we're checking on those elbows. If those elbows splay out, we want to try to keep them locked together. And then we touch the thumbs to each finger individually, very gently roll out of that, turn the hands around, and roll down so we get a stretch on the insides of our wrists as well. One of the drills we had talked about last week in our movement component part of the class, and this week, just to help for fishtails, especially if you're brand new to this, is having the staff nice and balanced on the top of our wrist and flexing that hand. If our hand's kind of low like this, it's just going to fall off. We have to have an active flex in the hand and moving from side to side. And when we go to that other side, we really want to cross our body and make sure our hand goes all the way to the other side of the hip, right? Just getting used to this. And if the staff is tipping a lot, you really have to make sure and adjust the center point so that it's on your wrist, and make some adjustments in your wrist. Maybe your wrist is tilted and that's why it's moving off. You'll have to flatten your wrist out. Really make sure that instead of like this, your hand is flat, wrist is flat, so that the flex in your hand will stop the staff from just falling off your hand, right? And make sure to do that on both sides. Starting our fishtails, we can approach it from our back side by holding off center. I just want to show you that this is the center of my staff right here. I'm not going to hold it on the center. I want to hold it off center so that I can get that center point to wrap over the top of my hand. So what I do is first with the staff behind me, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the staff over the top of my hand. Flatten my hand out, let it just wrap first. Get that full wrap in, because once it gets that wrap over our hand and the staff is horizontal, that's when we want to start pulling it to the front side until the staff is horizontal again. And then we immediately pull it back to our backside. Something that may help, especially when you're not feeling like you're really garnering enough momentum to make that happen, is placing this finger on the center point and going through the motions of, okay, I'm going to start with a hand wrap. I wrap, I'm horizontal. I'm going to start bringing it to my front side until I get horizontal again. Then I need to pull it back behind me. And you don't have to square forward the whole time. You can be a little fluid in your hips and your torso. I'm going to do this on this plane so you can see. When I do my hand wrap, I have the green end of the staff behind me. That means that this pink side is really the only side that does that 1-beat rotation in front of me. And the green stays on my back plane. There's a rhythm to this move, and the more practice you put into it, you'll obviously start to feel it. So don't be too discouraged. Stick with it. Use your other hand and start to do it with that hand wrap, because that hand wrap is going to help you get the momentum you need to drag it and pull it back across. And check out how far across my body I'm going. I'm right next to my hips, and I'm keeping it pretty close to my body. I'm not out like this. You want to try to keep it close, okay? For the forward fishtail, this time I had my hand in front of the center point. So if I'm doing this side to side, the center point's right here on my pinky side. First thing I just want to do is just get that wrap over the hand. Get used to that on both sides. Flattening that hand out and avoiding the desire to grab onto the staff afterward or turn your hand up. After that initial hand wrap, moving forward, the staff is moving forward. Right when it's about horizontal, I want to start to take this hand, I'm going to scoop it up and bring it right back down to my hip. The second half of this move is where we utilize that little toss off the hand that's going to help us get back behind the center point. We wrap over, we get over to their hip. We actually want to get behind the center point in our hand. So what helps me is if I give a little toss to the staff and I can get back behind the center point on my home side. A little toss to the staff and I get back behind the center point, meaning my wrist is situated behind the center point. And that means the long end of the staff is driving forward instead of having the short end of the staff in front of me and just slipping back off behind me, which is something that happens quite a bit. And you'll notice my hand stays pretty open the entire time. So try to work on keeping your hand open and your palm away and not curling your hand so that you can see your palm. If you're having a hard time with that, again, just go back to the wrap, stopping it on the horizon, getting that second hand there on the top of your center point as a little guide, and just going over that move again. So right now, look, my green side is in front of me, which means just to do a one beat, I am going to drive that green side to my right side, and it's really only doing that one beat rotation on my right side, while the pink side is just on this side. You can always go back to being in a kayak, right? Either in reverse, make sure you're identifying for yourself, am I in reverse or forward? This is forward, this is reverse. Reverse fishtail, forward fishtail. And some tips, obviously side to side, you gotta get your hips out of the way. That's why I sometimes think, especially in reverse, going back, front, front, back is a little bit easier when starting out. There's less hip movement depending on your body shape than this. You gotta get out of the way. For those of you who already have both your fishtails, or at least are a bit proficient in both of them, I want you to start moving with them and being able to transition between them a little bit seamlessly. That's why I added those pivots in. Let's say I start in reverse fishtail. I'm on my left side. I'm going to turn 180 degrees to my left side. That means that I'm now in forward fishtail. And then if I turn again to my left side, when it's behind me, it's a little bit easier. It stays behind me, and then it comes right back to do that one beat. I'm in reverse fishtail. I'm in front. As I start to move back, I can keep the staff in the same relation to my body. For those ones, please again make sure that you are clear about if you're in a side-to-side fishtail, even if you're just using the hand to guide. Because if you're in side-to-side, you'll have to turn 180 degrees, and you'll have to complete it so that you are still in side-to-side fishtail. And again, same thing with front and back. I'm in front and back. If I turn 180 degrees, I'm still front to back. So being clear about what plane you're fishtailing on is going to help a lot as well. We didn't get to some like elbow fishtails, but that's another place where we can put the center of the staff. And again, if the staff is in line with our front plane right now, my front wall plane, I can clench it, and this is like a nice little cheat. It's really a quick one-beat weave. Green on my front side, pink on my back side. And then as you get comfortable with that, you can start to extend your arm out, try to get it straighter. Right? So that you're fishtailing on your elbow. Another advanced one was the anti-spin over the head from a reverse fishtail. When I get to my front side, instead of stopping on the horizon, I actually want to start bringing my hand close to my shoulder to graze my shoulder. As I bring my hand close to my shoulder on my front side, I want to pull my hand up, and it's almost as if my head is just filling in that negative space of my bended arm. I get here, I pull my arm up, and the staff propels around my hand. Playing with foot fishtails, just work on getting that staff on the foot, nice flex toes, and as a starter exercise, you can keep your heel on the ground, just graze the heel along the floor to test out the flex in your toes to make sure the staff doesn't just roll off your foot. And then as you get more comfortable, you can start to lift your foot off the ground completely. But check out my toes. They're really reaching for the sky. As you get comfortable with this, you can start to lift your foot every time you start to bring your foot to the other side. This is supposed to be a nice little start to your foot fishtails. Green side stays on my right side, pink side stays pretty relative to my left side. And what's really helping is that flex in the foot and tilting that flex a little bit each side. Make sure you practice that on both sides, even just the balance, just that balance, and grazing that heel on the ground. For our movement section, we talked about the idea of isolation and keeping the staff as a fixed line, or keeping a part of the staff, maybe just a point of the staff as a fixed point in space, and how we show isolation by moving our body, right? And we can even use those things that we did last week with the balances and play with those balance points and try to move ourselves along the staff in those balance points to, again, relay the idea of an isolated line in space. And you guys had a lot of really beautiful things that you were doing. We also played with the other hand. So maybe put on some cool music and think about how you want your hand to relate to the staff. I gave you some prompts yesterday. Maybe your hand is shying away from the staff. Maybe it's guiding it. Maybe it's pushing it. Maybe it's rejecting it. Give some personality to your hand, because we always have this free hand, especially when we're playing with the staff in one. Instead of just like, having it hang there, it really makes it kind of like a more complete body dance experience when we add that other hand in there. So again, pull from your other movement disciplines as well. Go tutting, popping style, Indian hand mudras, martial arts, whatever you've got. Start to see how you can incorporate that into the staff. Contact me if you have any questions. Happy practicing, and I look forward to seeing you all for class 3.